Welcome back to Collecting Cars. We're back in the Collecting Cars Defender, a very likeable and capable car, but today we're going to take her back to meet her maker and track back the lineage of the Land Rover Defender. There she is, a 1949 Land Rover Series 1. Your great-great-great-great-great-grandmother. Just look at the difference between these two. 72 years separates them, and during that time there have been numerous iterations, so it's fantastic to finally get both of them together to see what's changed over the years.
The current Defender stands at 2 metres tall and has a wheelbase of just shy of 3 metres. It's 4.32 metres long without the spare wheel and 2 metres wide with the mirrors folded in, whereas the Series 1 Land Rover stands at 1.86 metres, has a wheelbase of just over 2 metres, a length of 3.35 metres and a width of 1.54 metres, making the Defender almost half a metre wider and a metre longer, which just goes to show how big cars have actually got over the years.
Right, let's get rid of the Collecting Cars Defender and have a closer look at this Series 1.
There was little demand for luxury cars in a post-World War II Britain, which was just as well as Rover's factory had been bombed during air raids. The combination of having to move factories, rationing of raw materials and plummeting demand for luxury cars meant that Rover needed a lower-cost, mass-market vehicle that could make use of basic materials and simple tooling. Maurice Wilks, Rover's chief designer, came up with a plan to produce a light agricultural utility vehicle which would only be in production for a couple of years to help revive Rover's fortunes. Launched at the Amsterdam Motor Show at the end of April 1948, the original Land Rover had an 80-inch wheelbase and was powered by a 1.6-litre 50-horsepower engine from a Rover P3. By the 1960s, there had been 500,000 Land Rovers produced. By 1976, 1 million, and in that time, wherever there was an adventure, you wouldn't be far away from a Land Rover. Whether landed gentry or grenadier guards, this was, and still is, the utility vehicle of choice.
A large part of the Land Rover success story is down to its simple construction. Lightweight aluminium panels which were easy to construct and put together. This is an original Series 1 Land Rover and it is absolutely an iconic shape. It feels so much smaller than the cars that we're used to, particularly the Defender that we had here earlier on today. And we look at this familiar face and we've got these original headlights there stuck behind this grated grille at the front, and then this large protruding bumper at the front which is strapped, here you can see, to the ladder chassis which runs all the way down the rest of the car. It is magnificently simple. The bonnet's got all of these lovely rivets just in the top here. Can you see these? And then we've got these strong sort of bonnet straps here, which you can pop open like that and just simply lift that to access the engine bay. Very simple, but quite stiff. Men were real men back in 1949. Other cool features to note is as well, this windscreen can actually be folded. You can see the hinges there, much like the Willys Jeep, which this was kind of based on. I'll move around to the other side of the car now and you can see these steel wheels which has been shot blasted and painted in the body colour of the car, which looks particularly nice. Another couple of cool quirky things, we've got a little flap here and this is how you get into the car. There's no door handle to complicate matters on the outside of the car, keeping it very, very simple. You've just got a hinged door, a flap here which we can just pop up and reach inside and open the door. Now, if you open the door all the way around here, you can see these hinges. There's nothing stopping that from actually being lifted out. So you can lift the whole door out and off, so you can have a real open driving experience. So you've got the front windscreen all the way down, doors off, you can even take the canvas roof off, so it's completely exposed. Anyway, we'll come back to the interior a little bit later. I'll just close that up. As I say, it's got this gorgeous khaki canvas roof, and obviously this, when we come to the back, can be rolled down to enclose you if you have any particular bad weather. Other things to have a look at, we've got these lovely D-style rear lights here. We've got a little footstep here so you can get up on top of the car if you need to. Now below the tailgate is this power takeoff, so you can actually have something attached to this winch here, and that will then power that. So that's a really cool added feature to have on this Land Rover. Everything's so simple on this car, you just pull those out and down it comes. So you've got a little seat here if you need to, have a little picnic on here or whatever you need to do. And then that can also be taken off as well. So you can get rid of that and then just load straight into the back of the car. So in the back then we've got this rubber matting and the 2 bench seats which offer practicality and versatility whether you're loading in people, tools or wild animals, more likely people, and ferrying them to the pub. Anyway, let's load this back up, take a look on the inside. Makes me laugh putting my hand through there. It's a bit like a bush tucker trial. You put your hand in and you're not quite sure what you're going to get hold of. But anyway, we're in here, inside, basic. That's what it is in here. In a Series 1 Land Rover, there is just really everything's stripped out. In front of you, we've got what looks like a scaff bar here, which is kind of holding all the steering rack and everything in place. And then we've got these very agricultural pedals below you. They're really sort of thick and stubbly, so if you jump in and you've got muddy boots on, they're not going to slip off, which is exactly what you need when you're out here in the countryside. In front of you then you've got this big oversized steering wheel which sort of bounces around and dances in your hand. There's no speedometer or rev counter in front here. Instead you've got your dials sort of clustered all centrally. We've got a speedo here, nice Jaeger speedo, very period. Then we've got a petrol gauge, we've got our amp meter there, and then over to the side we've got the ignition. This car's got a new ignition barrel, but it's also got the push button ignition system which sits just below down here. Then we come to the gear stick. I'll just put my foot on the clutch here. This just feels like a crazy bag of cats here, but actually once you get driving you get used to it very quickly. The pedals again I've mentioned before, but they've sort of got this very upright thing, so you almost, when you push the clutch down, you're sort of stepping down onto it. It's quite a peculiar kind of feel to that, but again, once you get going, you sort of really get into it. If you've ever driven a tractor, you'll know exactly what I mean by that. Some other cool features is that we've got these plaques. So we've got the Rover Company Limited, Birmingham, England. That's just sort of been screwed on there, but it just looks really nice to see those original plaques. And then over to the right hand side here we've got the high range, neutral and low range, and that's just kind of a display there to show you exactly how that works out. And of course that's this red lever down here. Just behind your left foot you've got the handbrake down here to take off, and then behind the gear stick you've got this little flap which you can lift up there. And then of course things are getting a bit cranky, presumably you could put some oil in there, but I'll stand to be corrected. I'm not quite sure whether that's a good thing to do or not. The stripped out interior also means that if things get really dirty in here, it's easy to hose it all out. You just take out these rubber mats, get the hose in there, you're not going to damage anything, and you can keep it very clean and tidy. We've got 3 seats in the front here, the vinyl of which has been retrimmed. If you're sitting in the middle here, you're sort of straddling the gear stick, so it might be quite a strange experience when someone's rummaging around for first or second gear. Make sure you get this seat or the driver's seat, I think. Right, underneath the seats, this is quite cool. Look, there's a little flap here. You can just pull that up. Hang on. There we are, lift that up. Hang on. Rip the seats off. Chuck that in the back there, look at that. And look, underneath here, storage. Look, we've got some WD-40, a spanner in there, and a chamois leather, whatever you put in there, put in your packed lunch if you're out farming for the day. Awesome. So that's in that one. Cover that back up, pop that flap down, turn that. Seat just goes back on there, nicely and easy does it. And then the middle seat, just rip that one back up again. Hang on, move that out of the way. And then look at this. So here we've got the gear for the PTO winch at the back. So look at that. Right, that's enough talk. Let's go for a drive. Turn that on there. In neutral, I think. Bit of choke. And then hit the push start. Away we go then. I mean, look at this. It really is like a crazy bag of cats, that. So find first, handbrake off. Oh, ho, ho, off we go. No synchro mesh in first or second, so that might take a little bit of getting used to. And as you can tell, it's not the quietest of cars. It does sort of... Oh look, there's a pheasant just in front there. Oh dear. Go on, mate. Oh, you see. It rattles about a bit, as you probably expect. We've got these perspex sliding windows here, which sort of rattle against each other. And then of course, the door frames are sort of bolted together. We've got the hinges right there. So it's, yeah, agricultural. Speed up and into third. And what's lovely about these is that it really does involve you and make you smile when you're driving it. The steering wheel sort of does have quite a lot of play in it, but it's kind of what you want in this kind of thing, sitting up and dancing around. Under the bonnet then we've got a 1.6 litre inline-four, which produces about 50 brake horsepower, 50 horsepower. And that's coupled to this 4-speed manual gearbox, driving all four wheels, so we've got permanent four-wheel drive, as you'd expect. It's sort of like a floppy-eared happy spaniel, this car. Very sort of excited and happy at one minute, and then of course when you go off-road like this, down a bumpy track, it's more of a British bulldog, a real bruiser, can cope with whatever you want to throw at it. God, those doors are like machine gun fire, aren't they? The car's a perfectly capable working vehicle, but it's more likely to be seen romping around the home counties or as the perfect pub cruiser or shoot vehicle. And I can see why, because it's a lot of fun, and you chuck all your mates in the back and then just head off out. In the summer you can take the canvas roof off, put the screen down, even take these side windows out and be all exposed. We've certainly come a really very long way in those 72 years from this to the current Defender. I mean, this is just such a fabulously basic utility vehicle, really stripped back, and we get into our Defender and we see all the gadgetry and gizmos, and that's a wonderful car too, but there's just something so lovely about coming back to basics. Okay, well, we've come out of the field and found ourselves on the Top Gear test track, would you believe? We've got the Collecting Cars Defender and this lovely Series 1 Land Rover on the Top Gear track. Oh, this is awesome. You think you know these roads from the telly, but when you actually get out here, it's quite different. So much smoother on some tarmac than those bumpy farm roads, I can tell you. You're not going to beat any records driving this around the track, but you're going to have a lot of fun just holding onto the steering wheel. Don't lean against the door too hard in case you fall out. Regardless of what you use this vehicle for, one thing is certain, and that's that it's going to make you smile. And after all, that's what these cars are really for. Just so happens that it helps that this one can wade through a river. Driving it is a very nostalgic experience. Makes you proud to be British. I think I might just have to take this one home.